all season for years now, your team has made a habit of not flinching. Is that something built up internally that's been built within the group, or is that a combination of experiences over time? Where do you think that comes from?
A little bit of both of those things, but I thought the other night they obviously shot the ball exceptionally well, and I thought that kind of distracted us from stacking the next possessions, which is uncharacteristic for us. We haven't had that happen a lot, and I thought tonight, fortunately for us, we were kind of put back in the exact same situation. They were super hot to start the game. They scored 40-something points in the first quarter again. And I thought tonight our ability to stay present and just stack the next possession and problem solve was a big strength. And that showed through in the resilience of the game that we had. I also thought the group that started the fourth quarter, we were kind of like a little tight offensively. I thought at the end of the third, and those guys went in there and amped it back up and played really loose, played really confidently, played together, and I thought that swung the game.
That stretch specifically, when things aren't going maybe the way you want to offensively, what is it there that you noticed that can be bottled up and maybe taken into future situations like that they were executing on offensively?
I just thought we got some good ones that didn't go down. And at the end of the day, like all the things we experienced in these last couple of games, we're going to experience going into the playoffs. Playing against good teams. Like we're going to have times where it's hard to score. Every team does in the playoffs. Where there's going to be times where really good players make really tough shots. There's really good teams in the playoffs, and we're going to have to endure together through that. And so every experience that we get that can build that muscle, continue to build that muscle, is good for us.
There was a point midway through the second quarter where I think Alex got 3 steals in the span of 2 minutes. I know it's nothing new for him, but especially on a night like this where stops came at a premium, just how invaluable was he defensively?
Yeah, he's always invaluable defensively, even when it's not the steals or when it's not as visible. But I thought he brought great energy to the game tonight. He's good against that matchup specifically. He knows those players really well. And I just thought that stretch you're referring to, we really got our pressure going. We really got our help going. And in the first quarter, they made some really tough shots. They were hot, but at the same time, they probably got where they wanted to go a little bit. And then the second quarter, we were able to be a little more disruptive, a little more in character, and ended up turning them over a good amount and getting out on the break.
J-Dub was much more aggressive offensively tonight. What did you see from him? Just getting to the spots?
He was great. I mean, he's growing. Just I continue to go back to that. Just because he's a great player already doesn't mean he's not growing. And he continues to grow. He's made huge leaps in his game, certainly since he's been here, but even since the beginning of the season, just with the force he's playing with. And you can see him making himself do that at times and inserting himself. And I thought he did that tonight against a big, physical team, and he was outstanding tonight.
Luka got tossed there in the fourth. What was your read on that situation?
JT Orr, the referee that threw him out and teed him, gave me a tech in Sacramento for a very mild comment. So I don't know exactly what was said, but I can almost guarantee it wasn't as mild as what I said. And it was good to see him hold the line on the respect for the game standard from situation to situation, team to team. And I hope the league has those guys back when they do that. But I don't know that that's the case because it looks like an outlier when somebody tees a guy. But there should be a line. If they cross it, it should be a technical, and you get what you tolerate. So I give that crew a lot of credit for the way they managed it.
What does that line look like to you?
They define it. Just like follow through on what you define.
What kind of dictated? It seemed like Shea came back into the game earlier in the fourth quarter than usual. What kind of dictated that decision?
Just going for the game. Wanted to simulate kind of a prime up for the playoffs, and that's what I would have done in a playoff game.
Do you know if the technical did they call it because he said what he said to a fan, or just because he said it period?
It was directed at the official, from what I understand, but it was across the floor. I asked the official. I always ask the officials what they say because I'm trying to calibrate where the line is. I've heard some crazy stuff now. So I'm trying to figure out where the line is, and I just want to make sure that the line. I'm not asking for competitive advantage. We just don't want competitive disadvantage in those situations. And so, but yeah, it was. I don't think he would have thrown him if it wasn't directed at him and pretty potent.
the 3 steals got mentioned with AC, but just overall, he has 9, 3, and 4. It's not just some huge box score, but what is it about his skill set and sort of mentality that allows him to sort of lift up every lineup he's a part of?
Just the fact that he's engaged in every part of every possession. I always go back to that with him. He's always in the team, and he's always present in competition. So if the ball is as far away from him as possible, he's thinking about what's coming next. He's communicating to the people that are more involved in the play. And that's when he's least involved. When he's involved, he's certainly engaged. So just a great competitor that really lifted our defense tonight.
And then with Lou, he's had some big games recently and some of these bigger stages. Shay said a while ago that as long as he's known Lou, that he's sort of just had an aptitude for big moments like this. Is this something that you noticed a long time ago with Lou, of just being sort of prepared for these bigger moments?
Yeah, I mean, the bubble, it's like game 6. I don't know what he shot, but he shot poorly. And then game 7, they didn't guard him, and the guy bombed in a bunch of shots. It was really impressive. He's just, he just loses himself in the competition. If he fails, he's going to fail aggressively. He's not timid. And I've said for many years, he helps us stick our chest out in a lot of different ways, and that's one of them. He competes fearlessly.
Mark, are you grateful for a 2-game stretch like this? That team's been playing for something for weeks now. They've got 2 guys that can win a game by themselves. Are you happy to have it as opposed to something else down the stretch?
Yeah, I am. To be honest with you, because we want to improve. We have a young team. We've clinched the 1 seed, but we're young, and one of the things about us is we can continue to get better if we continue to focus on getting better. And if when we clinched the 1 seed, we started coasting, that wouldn't have been great for us. And the string of opponents that we've had, for the most part, over the last 2.5, 3 weeks, it's been really good for us and has made us better. That team makes you better. If your help is leaning in the wrong direction, they're going to make the right play 9 out of 10 times. And so yesterday's game, or 2 days ago's game, having to respond to that, having to make some adjustments, having to emotionally respond to that was good for us. These are all relevant things for us, and they help us improve, and that's what we continue to be focused on as we run through the end of the regular season.